Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for the very first time from YouTube.com. I'm proud to present you the Week 2 recap. Starting off with Week 2's Games of the Week. We're going to take a look at the Four Eyes Financial Compliance Bowl first, where Mike Vic laid the smackdown on Lucas TBD. All lights were shining for Mike Vic as his roster absolutely exploded, and Kamara elevated from being the flex play of the week to being RB1 through the first 2 weeks of the season. Kyler Murray exploded against the Rams. Dobbins is proving that he should be the main guy featured in that role. Enough Gus Edwards. Nico Collins has officially arrived in this league, showing why he got that big contract extension. Rice finally gets into the end zone in week 2 on a 44-yard touchdown pass. Parkinson got to take the week off and just do a little bit of blocking for the boys in the tight end position. And although Mike Vic did put up 157 points, he did see Pacheco leave the game with an ankle injury. He broke his fibula. Steelers D contributed 11 points. And once again, Mike Vic has shown to be one of the most high-scoring teams in this league. I wanted to take a second to appreciate greatness, as now Mike Vic owns 3 of the top 5 scoring games in league history. CBS has not been updated yet, but I will be keeping my eyes on that to make sure that it is. But Mike Vic now owns the top performance with 169 points, the second place performance with 157 points, which he scored last week, and he'll have the fourth place with 142 spots. One of Graham's scores, the 138-point performance, will be bumped from the record book. Congratulations, Mike Vic, on your continued success. In our second game, we had the Procedure Flow Process Bowl, where we saw Auction Matthews defeat Roger Bedell on Monday Night Football. After Josh Allen laid an absolute stinker, 11 points, and a dominant Buffalo win over Miami on Thursday Night Football, Matthews thought he had the game well in hand, but Marvin Harrison Jr. lays 28 points on the Rams. I think they were all scored in the first quarter. He did drop an end zone fade that could have gave him another 6 points on the day, and thank God he didn't, because it would have got a lot closer for Auction Matthews. Tank Dell also dropped a big pass, but in the end, there was enough for Auction Matthews there. Saquon Barkley didn't get in the end zone, but it was Devontae Smith capitalizing on the A.J. Brown absence, getting in the end zone as the wide receiver 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles in their 1-point loss on Monday Night Football. Nevertheless, it was enough for Auction Matthews to etch a victory and get his first win of the season, 88-80. And then in our last game of the week, an absolute stinker. Hate to spend too much time here, but it was the Eagles defense on Monday Night Football looking for 5 points to secure a win for Dick Ditka, playing both without CMC and A.J. Brown. They couldn't do it. They only managed to come away with 2 points as they had just 1 sack and gave up 385 yards and 22 points, 7 of which came on the very last drive of the game. Niners Gold Rush gets an absolutely disgusting 52-point win as he is now 2-0 and has less than 100 points against on the season. Some say it's better to be lucky than to be good. Now looking at Ray Shrem's No Flex Zone, we'll start with the Flex Player of the Week. Chris Godwin, bought for less than a cup of coffee. Merrick, I got you. I'm going to make sure your players get recognized. We get a 20-point performance from Chris Godwin, who's moved into the slot and looks absolutely fantastic. 7 grabs for 117 yards, 1 touchdown. He's got 17 points per game through the first 2 weeks, and he looks like one of the steals of the draft as a solidified wide receiver 2 throughout the rest of the season. Then there's the no flex play of the week. We're looking at Xavier Worthy, who failed to follow up his week 1 performance where he scored 2 touchdowns. X-Wing spent $6 on him and was eager to get him into the lineup after that. He actually benched Malik Neighbors, who went absolutely off. I think he had 10 grabs for over 100 yards and a touchdown. I think it was a 20-point performance. It was definitely a top 10 performance on the week. And Xavier Worthy only came away with 2 catches for 17 yards and 1 rush for 5 yards. Now looking at some of our top performers. At the quarterback position, we continue to see performances from the waiver wire that are just outstanding. Carr, Darnold, Jones, unsung heroes of this offseason are now top performers in this league where seemingly nobody can throw the ball effectively. However, it was Kyler Murray who managed to get it done against the Rams, who was our QB1 on the week, 33 points, and one of the swaggiest plays I have seen in the last several years. He had that touchdown pass where he escaped the pass rush of Jared Verse and he threw the ball into the end zone. He turned around and celebrated before the ball was even caught. Incredible, incredible performance by Kyler, who looks to be a steal of the draft at only $6. Hurts had an incredible performance as well, 25 points. He ran the ball very effectively and was 3 for 3 on tush pushes, which bodes well for fantasy production throughout the season. Looking at the tight end position, which has been a big letdown to start the year, Kittle gets on the board with 13 points. Increased production is ahead for Kittle as Deebo Samuel will be sidelined. Now without Deebo and CMC, we'll be able to see that high-powered 49ers offense concentrate to their key contributors, Jordan Mason, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. Henry has commanded an awesome target share in what was expected to be a stinker offense from the New England Patriots, who has been surprisingly productive. Henry's been solid. McBride's getting a ton of targets in a high-powered offense through the Cardinals. Gesicki was getting a lot of looks from Joe Burrow in that game against the Chiefs. And Brock Bowers, the rookies, who we thought was left for dead with the Raiders, is now performing incredibly well with Gardner Minshew as his quarterback. Just $2, and he seems to be maybe a top 5, maybe a top 3 tight end for the rest of the season. Now, looking at our running backs and our wide receivers, our skilled positions, as I said earlier, Kamara had the awesome 44-point performance. Now, it's not just about the box scores with Kamara. He looks light on his feet. He's still dynamic. He has the field vision in the second level, and when he gets the ball out wide, he looks to be the player he has been over the years. James Cook is doing really good. 2 rushing touchdowns for him is going to put him at the top of the leaderboard, and he seems to be in a Buffalo Bills offense that's set on playing a ball control type offense. J.K. Dobbins already commented on him today. He's been stellar. It's just whether or not he can stay healthy. Same thing for James Conner, who has been consistent throughout his career. When he plays, he's a contributor. Achane took almost every touch for the Miami Dolphins, especially after Jeff Wilson left the game hurt. I was surprised to see Achane in the game after Tua, Tyreek, Waddle had all exited. They still had Achane out there churning out carries. He falls just 4 yards short of his BGB, but still comes away with 21 points. Mason looks to be the steal of the draft, as CMC might just have Achilles tendonitis for the rest of the season. Breece Hall scores 17, but Braylon Allen, his backup, also scores 17. Breece left the game gingerly, nursing maybe a little bit of a hip issue, which opened the door for Allen to take a couple red zone carries, which he converted to points. He was picked up on the waiver wires for just $1 and seems to be one of the top handcuffs available in the league. Brian Robinson Jr. scores 16 points without a touchdown. Josh Jacobs scores 16 points without a quarterback. And Jonathan Taylor scores 16 points without playing in the fourth quarter. A lot of great contributions there in the top 10 running backs. Now, looking over to wide receiver. I've already commented on Marvin Harrison. They called him Mazda Marv after week 1, but he's since been upgraded to Maserati Marv. Vroom, vroom. Jett has left the game in the fourth quarter with a quadricep contusion, still got 22 points. Nico, I already commented on for Mike Vic. DK Metcalf looking really good with Ryan Grubb, the new offensive coordinator, who has Geno Smith just slinging it. DK and JSN both go off in that game. Malik Neighbors breaks out in week 2, commanding a 68% target share in that offense. Ridley has a really explosive game with Will Levis. Godwin, we've touched on. Devontae Adams had a big week for Graham, putting up 20 points. And it was the all but forgotten first-round pick of 2023, Quentin Johnson, coming out with 17 points on a 2-touchdown performance, playing for the Chargers now. He's a free agent, not sure if he's been picked up yet. And then Shaheed, who has seemingly captured the wide receiver 1 role in that Clint Kubiak offense, commanding an 18-yard average depth of target, including this is a guy that's still getting some screen work, stuff around the line of scrimmage, easy layup targets, in addition to just screaming down the field. He has been a stellar pick for just $1, and Stan is sure to get him into his lineup next week. Looking at our big D of the week, it's Shawnee Cash getting 17 points from the Bears defense. Sorry, correction. Last week was the Bears defense. This week, the Texans played the Bears and dominated the Bears on the defensive side of the ball. They let up just 13 points and 203 yards, but the story of the night was the pressure that this Houston Texans team was able to put on Caleb Williams. They have their star rusher, Will Anderson, but they've added Danielle Hunter in the offseason, and those guys were feasting. They had pressure on 23 of 48 QB dropbacks. They came away with 2 interceptions, and they really dominated the night. The Bears never really got much going. They couldn't run the ball. They didn't have time to throw. So the big D of the week goes to Shawnee Cash with the Texans defense. Now, looking at our waiver wires, the story of the week. Who's the Chiefs running back? We had 3 different running backs picked up from this backfield, including a guy, there's a 4th guy out in the whim there, Keontae Ingram, who's been elevated from the practice squad to the 53. But Ricky Barber puts his name on Samaje Perine. I took Carson Steele, and Lucas grabs Kareem Hunt for $5. The interesting thing about this is we all could have got these players for $1. Seemingly no one else was interested. So the story to watch will be which one of these running backs hits, or do they all cannibalize each other and nobody's worth anything? Then at quarterback, people trying to get their names on some of these veterans, these journeymans that are showing that they can get this done. They can throw the ball in this new era where passing seems so hard to come by. Peabody takes a stab at Geno Smith, but gets way outbid by Graham, coming over the top at $12 for Geno Smith. But Peabody falls back to get seemingly who he really wanted, Derek Carr, for $10, the number 1 offense through 2 weeks. And now he will play for Peabody's Pros. Then there's the defense. I wanted to talk about this. We highlighted Peabody's big bid, the $6 bid on the Los Angeles Chargers last week. I went $9 on the Browns this week as they see the G-men. The way I saw it is I'm in a must-win game against Stan, against X-Wing. I couldn't let them have them. And they also see the Raiders and the Redskins over the next 2 weeks after this one. I'm looking at this as $3 a week when I'm in 3 must-win games. That's my logic. Leave it in the comments if you think that was a sharp play or if I spent too much fab on the Browns defense. Now, the games of the week. What do we have to look forward? And atop the DraftKings division, we're going to see the battle of 2 heavyweights. 2 2-0 franchises will square off, giving us a 3-0 team atop the DraftKings division. Now, these 2 have never played each other. Peabody's Pros is off to a fantastic start. He's never lost in this league. But Ricky Barber is the only champion this league has ever known. The only thing we can point to here is that Peabody has been getting a lot of production from his defense, while Ricky Barber has been depending on the production of his receiving corps. It'll be interesting to see the projections like Ricky, but only time will tell. Now, we have a loser leaves town match. Not just 1, but 2 loser leaves town matches. Woo! The first one will have Roger Bedell with a 3-13 record in this league, taking on X-Wing Patriciousness, Stanley Petley. Both teams are 0-2. Stan ranks first in receiving, despite continually leaving points on the bench. Maybe they're counting those bench points because he's seen Shaheed go off. He's seen Malik go off. He's seen Worthy go off, all on the bench. But the story of this series so far has been dominance from X-Wing as he's beat Roger Bedell not once, but twice in 2023, including a 6-point win in Week 14, the last week of the regular season last year, when Stan beat me. Who would have figured? And then in the second 0-2 match, we have Dick Dicka and Shawnee Cash, and the projections like Shawnee here, 92-79. Just a reminder, Dick Dicka will be playing without CMC and A.J. Brown again for a second week. So how will he possibly find a way to win? Who knows? He got in an absolute slop fest last week and almost came away with a win. Who's to say that Shawnee doesn't lay up a stinker here? Now, Shawnee Cash did get the better of Dick Dicka last year when they played in Week 10, putting up a 128-point win over Luke's 92 points, which is pretty respectable. You're going to win a lot of games with 92, but not when you run into a 128-point opponent. And with that, we have the end of the Week 2 recap. Good luck, everybody. Have fun out there, and let's see what happens next.